Nick Freeman, a solicitor, thinks that we do need to look at this, don't you? Good morning, Nick.
Good morning, Kay. Good morning. I do think we've got rules in place under the Road Traffic Act, but they're largely unenforceable because we don't know who the cyclists are. You know, as cyclists film a motorist driving badly, you have a registered number. If a motorist films a cyclist cycling badly, well, you've got a cyclist cycling badly and nothing more because you don't know who it is. So my starting point would be to try and introduce parity between motorists and cyclists. So to give the rules some teeth, I would ensure that we can identify motorists cyclists by ensuring that they have an identifier number, a tabard with a number attached either to themselves, and that goes directly to them. So if they are cycling in a dangerous way, they're accountable, they're responsible. And then we do need, in my view, an updated penalty point system, disqualification. For example, cyclists can cycle at any speed they like. There's no law prohibiting that unless it's in parks. There's no drink-drive limit for cyclists. You can't disqualify them.
But Nick, are you not just going to immediately quash this kind of organic boom that we have seen in cyclists, people responding to the coronavirus situation that we find themselves in and thinking, right, OK, I can't use public transport, I need to get out, I need to be healthy, we need to sort of embrace this opportunity to change the world, not just for now, but for the future, and be more green in our habits. You know, if you start saying, right, OK, everyone's got to be registered, everyone's got to have a number, everyone's got to be identifiable, penalty points, you're just going to just squash that like a big Monty Python foot.
Well, I hope not. I'm very pro-cyclist. I think it's a wonderful way of getting around, and ideally we need an infrastructure. But we don't have the infrastructure, and we can't just have a free-for-all. You said earlier on, and you're absolutely right, we see cyclists cycling on the pavement, which of course is illegal. But what do you do about it? There's been a huge rise in the increase in serious incidents involving pedestrians in the last 12 months.
Has there? I mean, I'm not aware of those figures,
yes,
I have to say.
The statistics have risen 13% over the last 12 months in terms of serious injuries for pedestrians by cyclists, which is inevitable. So what's happened is we've had 2.5 months of empty roads. It's been heaven for cyclists. And as I say, it's the most fantastic way for getting about. But it can't be a free-for-all. We all have to accept responsibility for what we do, and we have to behave in accordance with the law. Certainly the introduction of road traffic laws hasn't prevented a massive growth in motoring, and there's no reason why making cyclists accountable and responsible and identifiable should prevent anybody from wanting to cycle. I don't understand why people say, oh, if I've got to comply with the law, if, for example, I need an insurance certificate, I'm not going to do it. Well, I'm afraid we have to adopt an adult stance, and it's very important, if you injure somebody, that you have insurance in place. If you go past the car and scrape the car, well, and these incidents happen regularly, you know, who's the cyclist and how's he going to pay for it? How do you take him through court? Okay. We need a system where we all behave like adults and behave in a responsible way. And I don't think it's a bar to the growth of cycling. I think people with the right frame of mind should embrace it and adopt it, and we'd have a much happier society for it. Because, of course, we're having to share very limited road space, and that is the problem. Yeah. There wouldn't be this problem if the infrastructure was in place.
Well, yeah, we're playing catch-up with infrastructure.
Yeah,
I mean, there's no two ways about that. Despite both Scottish and Westminster government, you know, pledging more cash. I think 20 billion the UK government announced at the end of May or sometime in May, and the Scottish government has announced 10 million and then perhaps an extra 2. So Nick, listen, I know that your time is very limited. Just to recap then, you think that cyclists, you're not anti-cyclist, but you think that they should be registered, they think they should be subject to penalty points, they should carry insurance, yes?
They should have insurance, they need to comply with speed limits. The penalties, there are penalties already in place, but what's the point of penalties if you don't know who you're penalising?
OK, all right. Nick, thank you very much indeed. Nick Freeman there. So that's what he thinks. Not against cycling, but it can't be a free-for-all.